Hello, my fellow up to no gooders. Anthony Hazelwood here with another thing where I talk about the news in place of Minecraft. And I've called this Minecraft and the News. I don't do this every day, just whenever I have something to talk about. Last time I talked about Justin Carter and his troubles with the state of Texas. But today I would like to talk about the Zimmerman case because it is something that is kind of a hot issue today. And in the last couple days, it's been kind of a topic of debate on whether the verdict was right and all that stuff. So first and foremost, I'm going to preference this by saying what happened to Trayvon Martin was a tragedy, and I do believe it was a tragedy that could have been avoided if certain people weren't trying to play hero or cop or whatever. And with that being said, I will say that the jury ultimately reached a decision, and we have to respect that. And there was a due process, and they couldn't prove within that case that Trayvon Martin was killed in cold blood or anything like that. What was proven, at least in the eyes of the jurors that were there with what the evidence was given, was that it was in self-defense, and which I think really backs up what the police had deemed necessary anyways, because they weren't going to try the case. Here's what I like. I like that the community got mad enough about the fact that there was not anything brought up about this case that they ultimately made a case happen. That is democracy, my people. That is important, and at least what we could say out of this is democracy went into effect, and in a sense, we found justice. It's really hard for me to say because this case was made into a civil rights case, and it brought up a lot of questions about whether or not this kid was given a fair shake. Here's my opinion. I feel like if George Zimmerman wasn't out playing cop that day, Trayvon Martin's still alive. I feel like if he listens to the cops when he calls them, Trayvon Martin is still alive. I feel in biblical times, and I'm talking, back in the time when everybody lived by the Ten Commandments and all that stuff, he would have been put to death for something like this. Okay, guys. I mean, let's not sugarcoat this. He committed a crime here. He killed, all right, and he killed because he thought he was in danger. But the issue here is, would he have been in danger if he wasn't out that night? Now, from what the reports say, is he was backing away from the situation. He had been done with it. But let's be honest, any death is a tragedy. Genocide, all these other things that happen in this world, it's all a tragedy, and it's something that happens. And in self-defense or not, it is something that if you take someone's life, you're making an active decision to protect your own, and I understand that, but you're making a decision to kill somebody, and maybe there could have been other ways to alleviate that situation, and there was, and that the short answer to that was George Zimmerman not being out that night, not chasing after this kid, as bad as he may have been, and he'd still be alive. And who knows, maybe this kid, even if he was living a life where he was a criminal, maybe he comes out of it, because it does happen. It's not it's not a for sure thing that he would have continued a life being a hoodlum or anything to that effect. Here's my issue with the whole with some of these things, though, is the misleading information at the beginning of the case. I don't like the fact that at the beginning they were releasing photos of Trayvon Martin when he was younger, and not some of these other photos that might have said, okay, well, maybe he wasn't as innocent as he looked. But, who knows? This is the issue. I don't think that the defense did enough to prove to me personally that George Zimmerman was in dire needs where he had to do something like that. Maybe Trayvon Martin doesn't kill him when he's fighting him. Maybe he just leaves him pretty messed up, which is still, it's bad, but at least both of these individuals come out of this alive. Now, here's the thing. George Zimmerman had a legal firearm, and he had a right to carry that gun, and he also had a right to fire it off if he felt like his life was in that dire of a situation. So who's to say we weren't there? And that's really the ultimate thing. There wasn't really enough eyewitnesses to say who was at fault here. So in effect, it just goes down as a case. Now, was this a civil rights case? And I think it became one. I mean, I don't know if initially this is something that happens a lot. There's a lot of self-defense cases in Texas. Even that one woman, she killed that guy, who broke into her house, and they asked her afterwards why she fired 6 rounds into the man, and she said, well, after the 6th shot, it went click, and that's very cold. It's wrong in my opinion. I'm not an advocate of having a gun. However, I am an advocate of people having the decision to own their own gun. I would never personally own my own because I would never want to be responsible for someone else's death. I'll be honest, and that's on a human level. I think it's a decision, and if you have that, you're opening yourself up to a situation where you might have to use it. And at the same time, though, I understand protection. I understand wanting to be safe. I understand, that this world is not a world where things are safe anymore, to that effect. And it's a scary, scary world we live in nowadays. And I understand that crime rates are up and that there's gangs out there. And, that people will do what they got to do to protect themselves. But I would rather take the bullet knowing that I didn't have the gun in my hand shooting the other individual. That is my personal belief, and you guys might call me stupid for that. I could care less. Now, here is where I draw issue with this case, though. Trayvon Martin was killed. George Zimmerman shot him. Now, there's this other case that's floating around about this woman who fired off warning shots, and she was jailed for 10 years because of it. And she is of a black, background. She is African American. I'm gonna say black because, come on, people, if we're gonna break down barriers of race, we got to be able to call people what they are. I'm white. I'm a cracker. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna say the other word because it still has a negative connotation for black people, and I feel like it would be inappropriate to do that. But that being said, I really, really feel like everybody that, this woman was not given the same opportunity that George Zimmerman was given, and because of that, I really feel that there needs to be justice here in this case. And for her, now this isn't George Zimmerman. It's not George Zimmerman's fault that the state is stupid. Okay, don't blame him for that. He was found innocent, and that's not his fault because this other woman was not found innocent. But it is the state's fault that they won't give her the same opportunity. And I feel like in this situation there has to be a call for justice rather than lynching George Zimmerman for what he did. It is not his fault that he was found innocent on his day of court and that she was not. However, it does leave a double standard, which we as a people have to be not okay with, okay? We have to be the ones to speak out and say, look, if you're going to give him that opportunity, that's fine, okay? That's fine, whether he was guilty or not. But if you want to have that standard towards him, this black woman that was jailed for simply protecting herself. Oh, I just put water on there. Look at that. For simply protecting herself, you have to give her the same opportunity that he was given. She didn't kill anybody, okay? Let's be honest here. She didn't kill anybody. George Zimmerman did. If you're going to put her, it needs to be either or, guys. I'm fine with either way. You guys need to either go and find him or her. And that comes down to us. We have to say, look, that's not okay. You can't have a double standard like that. You found him not guilty. You need to go back and find this woman not guilty. Now, I wish I remembered her name. It's pretty unfortunate. But, there really are double standards between states, too, because California, I could see something like that happening. But in Texas, like I said, that woman shot that guy, and, it was done. That man beat the life out of another man because he was molesting his son in Texas, and he got away with that. But I don't know if that would be something that you could get away with in California. You're beating a man to death over something like that. You see, and I live in California, and I feel like that's probably better not to kill him because he's gonna have it worse in prison. But the guy in Texas, nothing happened to. So I feel like that's something that might not be able to be getting. You might not be able to get away with in here. However, it is something that I feel like if that happens here, it's gotta. We gotta be more. I don't know, sure about what we want to do in each state, I guess. I don't know. There's so much double standards out there, and there is double standards based off race, and and we got to learn as a people to make sure that these don't happen, because if we're not actively, and it's got to come from both races, because if it's just the black community that's talking out about this, and there aren't white advocates and Asian and whatever color under the sun advocating for it, then there's nothing going to happen, because it looks as if only the black community is advocating for something like that. But that's not the case. There are there are white people in the community that want to see the same rights for black advocates as there are in in many other cases. White advocates that black advocates that want to see the same treatment for, so it's what goes around in this situation. So here's what I'm saying. If we don't come together as a people, we're supposed to be this melting pot, which is not true. This is the United States right now is not a melting pot. I wish it was. I wish we were all these communities that were merged together, but unfortunately, we've sected ourselves off. You come into a town and you ask, people ask, oh, has this side of town, what is it like there? Are there a lot of Mexicans there? Are there a lot of blacks there? Is this a predominantly white side of town? I see it. I live close to LA. I live in Bakersfield, and in a sense, it's little LA, and it is like that here. We are sected off. There are racist people in every single part of this place over here. And I think and this is where I'm ending, guys. That's why I've stopped playing. But it's everywhere here. It's just, and this has to be a discussion about race right here, because this is what happens. We segregate ourselves. We say, okay, well, the blacks are over here, the Asians are over here, the whites are over here, and it doesn't need to be like that. I have black friends. I have black friends. I have Asian friends. I have every friend under the sun, Mexican, Filipino, blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? Whatever. I have white friends too. Actually, less white friends than I have minority friends. So I understand how it goes. But the only way we melt the pot is to stop things like that. To stop saying, well, I don't want this kid in my school because he's that color. But maybe it's different because I'm in California. Maybe it's a different attitude over here because it is so culturally diverse in California. This is where it's easier. We're a state that just legalized gay marriage, right? Stuff like that. This state's more understanding about stuff like that, but places all around the world, it gets different, and it changes. And I know because I've talked to people over here that come from different states, and they just talk about how different it is in California compared to the rest of the world. And I haven't had a chance to see any of that. I'm culturally sheltered from that, so I don't believe the way the rest of these individuals believe. I believe we should all be treated the same, regardless of race, sexual orientation, all that stuff. Because at the end of the day, what we get judged upon is if you believe in religion, which I do, what we put forth through our hearts and all that stuff, and the decisions we make in our life. And with that, guys, I know that I kind of ranted and raved a little bit there, but thanks for listening. I'll talk to you guys next time. It was really a pleasure, everybody. As always, my name is Anthony Hazelwood, and I'll see you guys next time.